Hey everyone, it's Alice here from Top Mark Science, and today we're going to be looking at naming salts. Throughout this video, we will be exploring the products of neutralisation reactions, the name of salts based on acids used, and word equations integrating neutralisation and salt names. Let's get started. Neutralisation is a type of reaction that occurs between an acid and a base or alkali. When mixed together, a salt is formed along with water. A key thing to note is that they may not always form a substance with a neutral pH. It can do, or it can just adjust the strength of the acid or alkali, but this will depend on the concentrations and volumes added. Now, the salt that is produced will depend on the acid that you add to your base or alkali, and we can work this out using some word equations to summarise these reactions. The general word equation we use is an acid plus a base or alkali makes salt and water. Remember that alkalis are bases dissolved in water. If you need to recap this point, you can watch the first two videos of this series to catch up, and you can return here later. Let's say the acid we use is hydrochloric acid. This means the salt will end in chloride. There is a nice similarity in their names. See? Chloric and chloride. Nitric acid forms nitrates. Again, another nice link of nitric and nitrate. And finally, sulfuric acid forms salts ending in sulfates. Sulfuric, sulfate. Pause the video here to have a go at this quick-fire question checkpoint to recap what we've just gone through. For revision purposes, it's useful to write out the words for question 2. However, if this isn't an option for you, match the numbers on the left to the numbers on the right. And if you finish, try the challenge. Well done, guys. Let's go through the answers to see how we got on. Remember to mark your work as we go. So firstly, rearranging the 4 words makes the word equation acid and base makes, this is shown by an arrow, salt and water. And here are the answers for part 2. Sulfuric acid makes sulfates, hydrochloric acid makes chlorides, and nitric acid makes nitrates. Now the challenge part requires you to link a couple of things together. Firstly, we need to know that Mg is the periodic table symbol for magnesium. Using question 2, we can now see that if we were to react magnesium with nitric acid forms nitrates. Therefore, we would form magnesium nitrate. Well done if you got this, but not to worry if not, as there are plenty of opportunities for practice coming up. Naming salts can be thought of like putting jigsaw pieces together. We want to match the complementary shapes together, in this case, salts and acids. So let's say we have calcium hydroxide, which reacts with hydrochloric acid. What do you think the salt would be called? Pause the video here and have a go. Use the jigsaw colours to help you, and if you finish, try the challenge. Let's go through the answers for both parts. You might find it useful to make notes as we go through this, so you can use it for more independent practice later. So looking at the colours, dark blue is calcium. A salt is a substance that forms in a chemical reaction of an acid with a metal, or a compound containing metal. So the start of salt names will start with a metal. In this case, it is calcium, because our starting substance was calcium hydroxide. The light green is then chloric acid. Based on what we've already covered, we know hydrochloric acid forms salts ending in chloride. So in actual fact, the salt is called calcium chloride. Now we know the end product of this reaction will be water. But looking at the colours, the dark green word is hydro, and blue is hydroxide. And you're probably thinking, this doesn't look like water. Well, looking at the challenge, it says how do we know the end product is water? Think about the formula. Let's look at this more closely. In this jigsaw, we have hydro and hydroxide, hydro and hydro, and oxide. Hydro and hydro is H2 and oxide O, H2O, water. So the final equation is calcium hydroxide plus hydrochloric acid makes calcium chloride and water, H2O. Pause the video here to have a go at using this method yourself. Feel free to play this portion of the video again beforehand, and if you finish, try the challenge. Let's see how you got on. Get your marking pens ready. So the beginning portion of the equation says that sodium hydroxide is reacting with hydrochloric acid, but the products are blank. Well, dark blue is sodium, and remember, salts begin with metals, and light green is chloric acid. But we know hydrochloric acid actually forms a chloride, so the salt formed is sodium chloride. Dark green is hydro, and blue is hydroxide. This is H2O, which is water. So the final equation reads sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid makes sodium chloride and water. Now for the challenge. This is now working towards acid formulae. At first glance, they look like a jumble of letters and numbers, but upon closer inspection, we can actually work out what they are. This top one has an S in it, which means it's sulfuric acid. This one has Cl, which is chlorine, in which case makes it hydrochloric acid. And this one has an N in it, so it's nitric acid. We always follow a simple framework that can be translated into a general format, so we don't need to use jigsaw pieces forever. And exams, unfortunately, will not provide you with jigsaw pieces, so it's good to practice the word equations themselves. Just remember to start with the metals. So looking at the example you've just done, sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid makes sodium chloride and water. Sodium and sodium, chloric and chloride. The salt is sodium chloride in this case. But if we change the metal in this compound from sodium hydroxide to calcium hydroxide, this also changes the metal in the salt to calcium chloride. Notice how chloride stays the same, because I'm still using hydrochloric acid. It's only the name of the metal that changes. Likewise, I can change the acid I react it with to sulfuric acid, which in turn changes the name of the salt from a chloride to a sulfate, to make a salt called calcium sulfate. Time to give some independent practice a go then. Here we are just focusing on the name of the salts themselves. Pause the video here and start with some gentle questions on level green and progress through as you gain confidence. If you need to, replay the video segment we've just done. And for the challenge, you might find a periodic table useful. Let's go through the answers. So green is introducing just metals alone with acids. Magnesium and hydrochloric acid forms magnesium chloride. Lead and nitric acid forms lead nitrate. Copper and sulfuric acid forms copper sulfate. Orange builds in more complex compound names, not just the metals alone. So iron oxide and nitric acid forms iron nitrate. Zinc oxide and sulfuric acid makes zinc sulfate. And copper oxide with sulfuric acid makes copper sulfate. Remember, we were only focusing on the salt names themselves. Well done if you've got this far, guys. Let's go through the challenge questions now. So in this top one, Fe2O3 plus H2SO4, we can see we have some key points that might help us. Fe2 and S, which are highlighted here. This tells me that we have iron present in the first part, which forms a key part of a salt name, and an S is present in the acid, which means it's sulfuric acid. This means it would make iron sulfate. You can do the same for the next one, hence the use of the periodic table to help you find the symbols, because Sn is tin, mixed with an acid containing S, which is sulfuric, so we form tin sulfate. The final one uses this exact method and therefore would be chromium nitrate. If you have time, pause the video here for some more practice where gaps have been placed at random parts of the equation. So you now have to use your salt naming skills to fill in these gaps. Always refer back to the acid-salt connections from the start of this video if you need to. Let's go through the answers then. Starting with something familiar, sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide makes sodium sulfate and water. Nitric acid and sodium hydroxide makes sodium nitrate and water. Now we have some random gaps at the beginning and end for question 3. Something acid plus zinc hydroxide makes something nitrate and something. Well, we have a nitrate, meaning we are using nitric acid. And this is reacting with zinc hydroxide. So the salt would be zinc nitrate, which is also followed by water. Following this same general structure, we have answers for questions 4 and 5. Excellent work today, everyone. Let's check our learning with a quick quiz. Can you get all 5? Question 1. Name 2 products formed from a neutralisation reaction. Salt and water. A reaction with sulfuric acid produces what kind of salt? A sulfate. Question 3. True or false? Nitric acids form nitrics. This is false. They form nitrates. Question 4. Fill in the blanks to make this equation true. Sodium hydroxide plus sulfuric acid makes sodium sulfate and water. And finally, question 5. How do we know HNO3 is nitric acid and not hydrochloric acid? It contains nitrogen. Well done, everyone. Pause the video here to rate your progress of your knowledge on naming salts since the beginning of this video. It might help you plan some revision and additional practice later. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it and would like to see more from Top Marks Science, you can like this video, subscribe to my channel, and you can now find us on Facebook for additional resources, teaching and study tips, and general science updates. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.